Local legends.
And joining us on the line is Craig Martin, talking all things golf, with Adelaide being the centrepiece of the Live Tour this weekend. Thanks for joining us again, mate.
No worries. Thanks for your time.
So where's your highlights and what are you looking forward to this weekend, mate?
Yeah, well, unlike last year, I was out there every day. This year, I haven't had an opportunity yet, so looking forward to getting out there on Friday and watching. By all reports, and from what I've still keeping a close eye on things, been reading and seeing lots of social media and whatnot. The course looks in immaculate condition, which last year was fairly rushed preparing the course. They've obviously had 12 months to prepare, with the Live guys injecting a lot of money into the maintenance of the course. So I'd expect the golf course will be in fantastic condition and probably a tougher test than it was for the players last year. But ticket sales are they've increased capacity. So last year I think they were averaging low 20s, 20,000. But there's obviously being such a big property, there's room for more general admission. So I think they're expecting up to 30,000 people daily. I think Saturday's a sellout, but there are still tickets available for Friday and Sunday from what I've read and heard on the radio this afternoon. So yeah, no, the anticipation, I mean, Live last year, no one really knew what to expect. And, you know, to go and see it live, you'd seen it on TV and whatnot, but the whole concept, different to the traditional golf tournaments that we've discussed in the past. But yeah, I mean, the expectations were just blown out of the water in terms of the crowd and the golf. I mean, the golf was crazy in terms of the scoring last year. Like Taylor Gooch, 20 under after 2 rounds. No one could have predicted that.
Thought it was you playing, Craig.
Maybe 20 over, but yeah, no one could have predicted those scores. Even during the practice rounds, I was kind of predicting the guys would maybe shoot 6-7 under.
Yep.
But he went out there and shot back-to-back 10 under rounds, which was unbelievable, and then held on to win on the final day. So it'll be interesting. I mean, last year's weather was just amazing. Had no wind for 3 days and quite warm conditions. The forecast for the next few days, a little bit cooler and hopefully a bit of breeze. So that's the golf course's defence.
Yep.
Is obviously the weather, and also the way they set up the golf course. So you'd anticipate they still want good scoring, but I would expect maybe about 15 under to 18 under will win over the 3 days. But subject to weather and obviously the way they set up the golf course. But the way Live is set up is really to entertain those watching on TV and around the world, and obviously the masses that are there, which Australia and Adelaide has really set the benchmark for Live golf.
Well,
internationally.
That's what I was going to ask you. How can Adelaide improve on what they did last year, considering it seems to be the talking point of the golfing circuit at the moment?
Oh, I suppose like any event, there's probably those that were organising and whatnot. Will improve this year. I mean, there are a few issues around congestion around the golf course and things like that. So how crowds move around the course would be one improvement. Probably, I would expect you'll probably find the spectator ropes aren't as close to the fairway as they were last year. It was kind of crazy. I've never seen, basically you're almost standing on the fairway. So
Yep.
I'd expect those type of things. And I mean, the corporate hospitality was obviously a big component last year, and that's fully booked out. So that's a good thing because it's attracting a lot of people from interstate and overseas to Adelaide.
Party holes still going?
That's what I was going to ask you. How's that set up this year? Could we see more hole-in-ones this year?
I mean, that's a pretty tough hole, to be honest. I mean, it's playing. I mean, I know last year, the last day they played it shorter, so the guys are probably only hitting 8 or 9 on in there, but it's such a narrow green and it generally plays into the southwesterly breeze, so it's not an easy hole. I noticed today in the Pro-Am, even the amateurs were hitting from right at the back, which is about 155 metre shot, so hitting, 7 iron, 6 iron, depending on how far you hit it, of course, but for the pros, they're still they'd be hitting 7, 8 irons from back there. So it's not an easy hole. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, that went around the world, obviously, that hole in one and the mayhem that happened afterwards with the beer cans. And I think I said last year when that all happened, that won't happen again. And there's plastic cups this year around that hole. So
it's probably a good idea.
Well, unfortunately, a couple of people got hit. Officials and marshals got hit by cans, which is not good. So, yeah, there's obviously, that's one improvement for this year would be all the plastic cups around that hole. But obviously the party atmosphere and with the concerts afterwards as well. It's a brilliant event. So,
and now is Niemanham the man to beat this year? Do you think?
I mean, if you look at the quality of the players compared to last year, really last year there was 48 players, excuse me, and really from 35 to 48, the depth wasn't there. The way that they've recruited, and also they had the I guess the Asian tour with the guys coming in who earned their right to be on the tour. Mm-hmm. Obviously, John Rahm's team came in, so there's an additional team, and then there's a couple of wild cards with Anthony Kim. It's fantastic that he's back, having not been on the Pro Tour for 10 years. He's had his personal issues, and I heard him interviewed by Timmy G tonight, and very good interview. He's overcome his own personal issues and never thought he'd come back to golf. Golf's such a hard sport to click, so it's great that he's back. And I mean, he shot 65 in Hong Kong, so good to see him play well. Really, it's such an open field. I mean, Cam Smith, naturally you'd expect would be up there, but you could throw a dart at a dartboard and 20 names, and probably it'd be a good chance. Grange kind of will suit a longer hitter.
Is that where Shambo would actually benefit?
Yeah, I mean, really, the key to Grange is driving, and certainly with no wind, the par fives for these guys are fairly short, or certainly reachable, all of them. But if the wind gets up, some of them play into the wind, makes it a bit tougher. But certainly, someone who hits it long and is a good putter, so I'd be tipping someone like DeChambeau, Brooks Koepka. From an Aussie point of view, Lucas Herbert, I think the golf course will suit him. He would be my pick for best Aussie. But yeah, I think really there's so many good players in that field, and that's the beauty of Liv. Despite what the PGA Tour lovers will suggest, is the Liv Tour. You've got now a collection of 20 to 30 of the best players in the world. Who are there, and I mean, the top 5 players at the recent US Masters were PGA players, but four of the top 12 were Liv players. So they're competitive. They're playing a reduced schedule to the guys on the PGA Tour, but they are some of the best and deserve to be playing all majors. So golf is still going through that turmoil.
Well, that was what I was going to ask, is that we have talked about it previously when we've had you on the show as to where it's at. Where is it at currently now as we speak?
Yeah, I would have thought, actually, because we haven't spoken for a few months, I would have thought there'd be some more resolution to it, but it's kind of stalled. There were talks that the PGA Tour and Liv guys met up in the Bahamas a few weeks ago, I believe. But if you look at it, PGA Tour really, I think they can see the writings on the wall, but they're really, I suppose, not conceding as much as you probably thought they would. Mm-hmm. And really, I mean, you just hear Greg Norman this afternoon in his press conference say, we're doing what we're doing, and they can do whatever they like. For the betterment of the sport long term, the two sides have to come together. Whether it's just for the majors, or if it's just for the big events like the Players and other events on the PGA Tour. But I mean, really, if you look at the PGA Tour currently, Scotty Scheffler's just dominating. full credit to him. Like he would probably dominate if he's playing here this week in Adelaide too.
Yep.
So it's not a case he's beating Neville nobodies. He's still beating quality fields. Because anyone who's playing on the PGA Tour still is very, very good golfer. But yeah, I don't know. It's just a real weird one. There's all the rumours have been going around about Rory McIlroy joining Liv, and that's all been proven to be BS.
Yep.
He resigned from the PGA Tour Players Advisement Board about 5 months ago because he was left out to dry and became really PGA Tour's scapegoat. But interesting, in the last 24 hours, it's rumoured that he's going to join that board again. So it's still interesting times with golf. The next 2 years, I mean, for the betterment of the sport, I mean, the last thing you want is guys winning British Opens with reduced fields and, players like Brooks Koepka and Brooks is probably a bad example because he's exempt with his PGA win, but maybe, guys such as Sergio Garcia and even John Rahm really now joining Liv. He should be playing in every event possible, but obviously can't go back to the PGA Tour now that he's joined Liv. So it's just a real messy scenario. What it looks like in the future is anyone's guess. You hear all the players on both sides, they don't know what's going on. And, the powers to be, eventually we'll have to sort it out.
All right, mate, we'll get you out of here on this one. Your top three for this weekend at the Live Golf here in Adelaide. Who do you think?
My top three, I said I really like Lucas Herbert. I think he'll be up there. Go for Brooks Koepka and maybe one out of the left field, maybe Louis Oosthuizen. So
we'll keep an eye on that one for sure.
All good.
Thank you very much for joining us again, mate, and giving us your tips for this weekend, but also talking golf in general. And as per usual, we'll touch base with you around some of the big golf events.
Greatly appreciated, Craig.
No worries, guys. Cheers.
Thank you, mate. Bye-bye.